One thing which is always worth doing, RTI, read the instructions. Make sure that we know what we're doing. Temperature, as I said earlier, is very, very important. We want to make sure that the starting temperature of the malt in this bucket is 24-ish, give or take. We can go down to 20, we can probably go up to 26. When the yeast is added, we want to make sure that that temperature is maintained, because if it's higher, it will kill the yeast. If it's lower, the yeast will struggle to start. The room temperature then is important. Room temperature wants to be between about 17 and 24. What we have to remember is when fermentation is taking place, the liquid temperature will be slightly higher than the room temperature, because the yeast is reacting with the malt, reacting with the sugars, and that gives off heat. So, we'll open our cans of malt, which have been in there for about 10 minutes. Just keep the cans quick dry. And just be a touch careful, because obviously they are relatively hot. So we've got 2 cans here, and we won't need to add any sugar at all. So this is going to produce a really top quality brew. Can't wait. Just give it another swirl. Worth as well just dropping the lid in. Just brushing the solution onto the lid on the inside, just to make sure that's fully sterilised as well. And after we've done that for about 10 minutes, we can then just pour out the end of the steriliser. Oh, we've got a spoon as well, obviously. That's going to come into contact with the malt. So that's the sterilisation. And we want to check the gravity. So again, we'll give that a clean and finally the thermometer. Just give that a clean and sterilise. So we can now pull this away. Just give it a thorough rinse with fresh water. Doesn't matter whether it's hot or cold. I don't want you lot saying I'm cheat because I've got the extended hose. It's a big bonus when you're making wine in there. The importance of the equipment being clean when you start this, I can't overemphasise. It really makes life so much easier. Don't put stuff away dirty. It's a nightmare. Okay, so I personally just like to have a little bit of water in the bottom of the bucket before I add the malt. Just makes it a bit easier to stir. Right. See how nice and easy that's coming out? And it smells awesome. We're going to give this a rinse out as well with a bit of hot water. So we don't want to leave any of this behind. This is good stuff. There's one, and here's the second one. Right, that's easily done. Put it back in here because it's an easier height for me to mix at. Just going to try and mix that all nicely in. The smell is great. Okay. So. Now when it's your first time, you've really got to keep your eye on this temperature. I've got to say, obviously, having made so many over the years, you just get a feel for temperature, and it does make life a lot easier. You're not having to check it every 2 or 3 minutes. As I say, I've got a pretty good feel now of temperature. You can just put my little finger in and just have a check. And we'll get this filled up. We've got the graduation on the side here of the bucket, so we're looking for 23 litres finished liquid. So it does, again, with this graduation, makes life a lot easier. Give it a good mix. And we're almost there. That's it, we're up. I've just stopped it just before because I just want to do a final check on the temperature to make sure we're within the right range. Well, I have to say so myself, that's 23. Pretty perfect. So just give it a final stir up and I'll just top it up then. Right, and we're all ready to rock and roll. Alright, that's it, work now nicely up. Again, make sure all this malt, that's another reason why I like to put a bit of water in at the start before the malt goes in, because what can happen is your malt settles on the bottom of the bin, and when it settles on the bottom of the bin you give it a good stir but you don't actually lift all that stuff off the bottom, and when you come to do a gravity reading, which we're going to do in a second, then it doesn't give you the accurate reading. So we're going to just drop our hydrometer in so we know what our start gravity is. Just clear a bit of this bubble away. At 1037. So that's quite a nice start gravity. We'll come on to gravities as well a little bit later on when we actually do the finished fermentation, and then we can tell you how to work out your alcohol content. But we've made a note of our start gravity, so we know what the start gravity was. We're in a position now where we can work that out at the next stage. Bucket's now complete, we've got everything in it we need it. Final thing we've got to do is just add the yeast. The yeast is what is going to convert all the sugars and the malts into alcohol. That's what gives us the strength. This is particularly good yeast, it's a premium ale yeast, and we'll just sprinkle it over the top. And give it a stir. That's all getting nicely dissolved into the beer. There we go. Right. Let those on the top, squeeze it down. Airlock. This is going to tell us that the fermentation is actually taking place, so we just need to half fill this with some water. like so. That'll slot in here. And we put a little red cap on it, just to stop stuff getting into it and stop it blowing all over the place if it gets particularly excited on fermentation. Now this is my fermenting room as well, so all I'm going to do now is transfer the barrel into a fermenting rack. So hopefully you've seen the first part of making beer and you've found out how easy it's going to be. What we'll deal with next is obviously the fermentation, where we'll be checking to make sure fermentation is complete. Once it is, we'll then do the bottling.